Welcome to Focus on Necessary Space. The world we live in is bombarding us with information all day long. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, oftentimes we're bombarded with information from our immediate environment, things that need to be done, things that need to be addressed, tasks that need tending. On the computer and radio, news, social media input, all these things are coming in. Not only that, but even on an energetic level, you're being bombarded with energy and information input all the time. So to have practices that make space to digest all this information and make space to just listen to that inner voice that can guide you through navigating all of this input is really essential. So it's important to find space in the physical body to start with, just to shake off stagnation. We hold a lot of tension in the body. And I have a class on the two most common places we hold tension, which is the neck and shoulders and the hips. And there's focus on videos of those if you want to check those out. Full-length practices there as well. There's also a full-length practice on finding space in the body, which I said is really important for finding proper alignment so energy can flow. If you want that physical practice or any of the other full-length classes, you can head on over to my Patreon page, and I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check that out. But for our purposes today, necessary space, we're going to visit the subtle landscape, the inner landscape, because I find that is the one that's more challenging and less charted in most of us. Because with all that input, we're going all the time. And when we stop the body and close the eyes or just soften into a meditative state, the mind goes even more. And sometimes it can be a little unbearable and people don't want to sit through it. But it's a really important practice to get into so that we can navigate those thoughts and not let them overtake, along with all the information we're taking into all of our senses. So let's do a breathwork practice together and just practice. And if you've meditated before, you have a meditative practice working with energy in any kind of way, this is going to be a review, and we all need reminders. I know I need to, so I hope you enjoy. For those of you who this is new for, I want to really invite you to be so gentle with yourself. This practice, just meditate, is not easy. This practice of observing without trying to change or leave space for is not what our society prizes. It's not what it prepares us for, right? Necessarily. Unless you grew up, in a meditative family or people who, enlist in meditative practices or have that in your culture, it's not part of Western popular culture. So we need to seek it out ourselves. So let's give it a try. So we're going to find some movement to start, just because we come from stagnation. You've been listening to me, so you're residing in your head. So let's draw some energy into the body. We want to come into our whole selves. So just articulate your joints, stretch into places that feel tight. Maybe you'll find a couple breaths are invited through that movement. And then when you feel like you've gotten all the initial stagnation worked out in the body, we're going to come into a nice aligned but not rigid posture, seated mountain. So on a nice sturdy chair with no arms, we're going to sit with our backs off the chair a bit, shoulders, if that's comfortable. If you have a muscular issue where you need the support of the chair, please take that. Otherwise, we're going to sit with shoulders over hips, legs straight out of hip sockets, knees over ankles. And then we're going to push the floor away. You can even lift your toes to really feel muscle hugging to bone and not pressure on the joints, right? That's taking space away. We want to invite some space. So push down, release. This is going to ground us down a little bit. Just press and release a couple times. And the next time you press and release, we're going to inhale the shoulders to the sky, really lengthen your spine, and then exhaling, rolling the shoulders down, shoulder blades down the back, tailbone into the earth. Imagine you find a wall of support behind you that you're going to gently lean into, and then slightly tuck your chin. Palms are down if you feel like your mind, when you close your eyes or you soften your gaze, if your mind is chit-chattering away, that's normal. Palms down. If you feel like it's available, palms face up. Oftentimes we come into meditation after a movement practice, which helps kind of settle the body. So this might be more available. If not, palms face down. So just try them, see which one feels available right now, and then close your eyes or take a soft gaze. Slightly tucking the chin helps to align the central channel so energy, breath can flow freely. So now I'm just going to invite you to observe your breath. We're not going to change it. We're not going to deepen it. That's not what we're going to do right now. We're just going to work with the breath as a focal point. This is our practice. So again, be gentle. Practice is not perfect. It's practice. So we're observing the breath, watching it as the belly rises and falls with each inhalation and exhalation. Maybe you're feeling your breath more as it comes in and goes out of your nose or your mouth if you need to breathe out of your mouth. But just observing the breath with a gentle awareness. Imagine the attention, the observation of your breath is the same amount of awareness as you would just watching clouds roll by in the sky, or maybe a bird hop from branch to branch, or maybe a breeze blowing through the trees. So we're not looking to change any of those things. We're just observing them with appreciation and peace. So with that same awareness and attention, you're going to observe your breath. This mechanism of bringing life force itself into the body and then releasing what does not serve out of the body. So we're just observing this miraculous phenomenon of your breath. So you might start to notice things as we quiet the mind and we quiet the movements of the body. You might notice your knee wanting a little love, your toes wanting to wiggle. That's okay. You want to honor those things. Now that you've given your body space, you've stilled the mind and the body, you can now observe what's needed. So wiggle those toes, gently move the knee, and then come back to stillness when you're ready. Come back to observing the breath. And here you might notice the mind tapping you on the shoulder, wanting you to move on and do all these things that you have to do. But you don't have to listen. If you've set aside time for this exercise, you can let the brain know that you appreciate its reminder, because that is part of you. You want to be loving. And say, thank you, mind. Thank you, brain, for reminding me of that task. We will get to that in a moment. But for now, I invite you to be with me and observe the breath coming in and going out of the body. Being in this place of beingness, inviting space for consciousness to be. Observing your breath as it comes in and goes out, ebbs and flows. Focusing your mind so you can have a softer but keener awareness of your body, your mind. And as always in this practice, if your body's asking for a lot, maybe it's time to gently come back and have a movement practice and then come back and revisit this. Your body is telling you it needs things, movement, stretching, love. You want to offer that up. It's part of this exercise is cultivating an awareness of our needs so that we can find the space that we need in our bodies and our minds and our lives. And also, the mind might be continually urging you to come back into doing, come back into tasks, because that's what we're habituated to. But again, if you've set this time aside and your body is okay, say, thank you, mind. I appreciate your reminders. We will get to that, I promise. But right now, won't you just observe the breath with me? Let's take some time to just be. So staying here for as long as you like, maybe 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever feels right. In this moment, you can continue to stay here if you have the time. If it's time to return to the doing or return to the next, whatever comes next. I invite you to deepen your breath now. Sighing out with sound. And then invite some small movements into your fingers and your toes. Maybe stretching out your face a little bit. And moving your body in a way that feels good. Maybe taking a full body stretch, like you're just waking up from a nap. And relaxing that down whenever you're ready. Sitting up nice and tall. Bring your hands together in front of heart center. Lift your heart to the sky and thumbs press back into your heart and bow your head. A symbol of honoring yourself. And what better honor and gift you can give yourself than time and attention. So I thank you for joining me. I thank you for giving yourself the gift of time, which we all need, this time, this space, this awareness of the beauty within, of the peace. So as always, I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this helpful and continue practices like this and watch over time what happens to your mind when you're out of your meditation practice. When you're in line at the grocery store, are you calmer? When you're waiting your turn. The practice is not where we usually see the benefit. The practice is the practice. And when we see the benefit is in our lives, and you might be surprised. So I invite you, maybe challenge you, to set a certain time for you to do meditation. And I mean that twofold. So a certain time of day, maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night to start with, maybe work your way up to 20 minutes if that feels good, or maybe even more if you have the time and you like. There is a saying, if you have the time, meditate for 20 minutes. If you don't have the time, meditate for an hour, because you need it, right? So time of day, regular time of day. Maybe it's at your lunch break when you have 5 minutes. And also set maybe a challenge of time, consecutive days. So maybe make yourself a 10-day challenge or a 21-day challenge. They say 21 days is how long it takes to make a habit. Maybe 30 days. Maybe invite friends to this challenge and make notes of how you respond to challenges before the challenge, the meditation challenge, and then respond, notice, journal about, or just reflect on how things have shifted after you've meditated for a little while. So, yeah. So I hope you found this helpful. As always, please leave comments below if you found this helpful. Share tips if you have other tips on meditation. We learn from each other all the time, so I welcome those as well. And I thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Namaste.